Welcome everybody. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Today's webinar is titled Grade 12 Redefined with the American GED. My name is Sean Swartz. I'm the CEO of SK Education Solutions. We are the official office of the GED in South Africa and throughout Africa. We are live on YouTube. We are streaming, and we have made the comments facility available to you. So please feel free to type your comments in the comments facility, type your questions there. We've got a whole range of guests today with us, so you can ask any question, and I'm sure we'll be able to find somebody that can answer the question. A special welcome to all our prospective GED students and parents. Just brief background as to what the GED is. So the GED is a testing program that makes it possible to earn the equivalent of a secondary school leaving certificate, which is like a grade 12, to facilitate either employment or entry into further studies, so you can study further. It was created way back in 1942 in the USA as a second chance opportunity. And today we have way more than 20 million people who have passed the GED worldwide. We have quite a few very exciting guests with us today. Our first guest is Jude Walsh. She is one of our very, very first GED authorized education partners. She's the founder and owner of Past GED Academy and has been working with us for many years. Joining Jude are actually three of her graduates, Ntobeko, Wilna, and Gaven, where we'll get back to them shortly. These three graduates are actually proof that you can get your GED and make a go of your life, including studying towards a degree. They've each agreed to share their GED experiences with us, and we're looking forward to that. I often get asked whether you can actually study further and get a degree after graduating with a GED. And so that's a really big question, which we will get to. But for now, Jude and her three GED graduates will also stay on the line after they've spoken to answer any of your questions that you may have about the GED in general. Feel free to type your questions in the comments facility. We will be monitoring these questions, and we will try our best to ensure we answer them. Don't forget to like this video, please, and also subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all things related to the GED. So Jude, as a start, why don't you start us off by briefly introducing yourself?
Hi there, Sean. Jude Walsh from Past GED Academy. I think that a lot of people do know us. We have a team of a few girls. There's Amy, Ronley, Josephine, and Lynn. And we really, really love working with our students. So we've been running Past GED Academy since 2014, right when the GED first came into South Africa. So thank you for having me on this show today.
Excellent. Thank you, Jude. And thank you for arranging three of your graduates to join us. And welcome, graduates. So Ntobeko, Wilna, and Gaven. I'm going to start off with Ntobeko. You can unmute yourself in the meantime. And Ntobeko, thank you for joining us today. Can you briefly tell us, why did you choose the GED, and what are you doing now that you have graduated?
Okay, I actually fell into GED by default because I got pregnant at a young age, and then I had to choose to do homeschooling in order to be able to deal with the new way of life that I had somewhat fell into. I did my GED. I passed my GED. I was able to obtain my certificates after obtaining my certificates, I followed all of the processes to get a SAQA accreditation. After I got that accreditation, I applied to university and I was accepted at the Durban University of Technology under Human Resources Management. I am a current DUT alumni. I recently got my diploma this year at DUT. I'm continuing with my studies. I'm doing my advanced diploma this year. I was also able to establish a business and write a book as well. I'm a published author and a poultry farm owner.
Wow, wow, that is incredible. I got shivers just hearing the story and what you've actually accomplished in such a short period of time. So I just want to personally congratulate you. I think you've done incredibly well, and just keep at it. I really think that it sounds like you're going to go places. So just keep it up and keep working hard. And I'm glad to see that the GED was used as a stepping stone in your life and in your career. So just well done to you.
Thank you.
Wilna, thank you also for agreeing to join us. Why did you choose the GED?
So
and second part is, what are you doing now?
Okay, so I chose doing the GED because of COVID. We had to homeschool, but like with schools that didn't know how to homeschool, if that makes sense. So my parents and I decided to find a different way to be able to get my matric because of COVID-19, and we saw like, oh, this is not going to pass by quickly. Yeah, so that's how I kind of came across the GED, and that's how I chose it as well. And I felt like it would be beneficial to my future because I want to go into the film industry. And currently what I'm doing is I'm studying at Poly Incubation, which is a film and drama school where you can study like drama and you can also study film. So it's very cool. Yeah.
Wow, it's incredible. So congratulations to you as well. I think it's a very exciting future in the media industry, and so good luck with that. And Gaven, you also a GED graduate. What are your plans for the future? What are you doing now? What are you planning on doing?
So I completed my grade 7 in 2018, and I dropped out in my grade 8 year during 2019. This was due to health reasons and the mainstream system not accommodating me for my lost time. I went on to start working for myself for 2 years as a freelance graphic designer. And then I soon realized the reality of how important secondary education is. And I looked at all my options, all the available options there are, and I realized that the GED was the best option for me to catch up on my lost time. So I went on to complete my GED. I finished it in 6 months' time. And then I went on to apply at AIE, the Academic Institute for Excellence, to study electrical engineering on my native levels. I soon realized that it wasn't for me. So I decided to stop that course. And currently I'm tutoring GED students for past GED and other institutions.
Oh, wow, that's great. I mean, well done to you for realizing that you needed the GED to take yourself further.
Also, I would also like to say that the SAQA letter could be important for other people to understand your qualification, because I've now obtained my SAQA certificate, which I've used to apply for the educational assistant and general assistant positions available at all the schools across South Africa now.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's a very important component to the GED, depending on what you plan on doing, and I'm sure we will talk about it a little later. A question for you, Ntobeko. what did you enjoy most about the GED when you were doing your studies?
What I enjoyed most about the GED is the availability of tutors and people on hand available to help you immediately when you need assistance, because at any time, whenever I needed anything, I'd send in a query and I'd get a response within less than 2 hours, I think, from Jude or someone else. In fact, Jude in my head did not look the way that she does look. This is the first time I'm actually seeing her face. I always imagined a computer system that calls itself Jude World. Yeah, but they really attend to our needs as students. And because I was pregnant at the time, I couldn't always function in the environment of the homeschooling where I was doing it in Ashburton. But even if I was at home, it was still convenient because you get videos to watch, you then get explanations for everything, and you're attended to. Like, you don't feel like you don't have someone to take you through the course.
Okay, so it sounds like you really enjoyed the course for many reasons, and thank you for that. Wilna, what prior education did you have before you started the GED?
So I had my grade 10, and yeah, that's what I had.
Okay, and I think that's a very important place to begin, because I think in general, if people have less than a grade 10, they will sometimes find it difficult to start with the GED. And so whenever anyone asks me, what should I have before I start the GED, I personally tell people that we recommend having at least completed a grade 10. It's not mandatory, it's not compulsory, but from an academic perspective, that's what we find works the best. So, okay, well done to you. Just remember, I see there are lots of questions flowing in, but remember to type your questions in the comments facility. We are monitoring them. We will get to them very shortly. Gavin, did you find the GED difficult?
So as I said, before doing my GED, I completed the grade 7 in the CAP system. And then I went on to grade 8 in the CAP system again, but I dropped out in grade 8. So my only formal completed education was a grade 7. Actually, to be honest, I'm not going to lie, the GED was quite easy for me. I passed all my ready tests on my first try. I passed my exam on my first try, but I don't want to encourage students to start too early with the GED. I believe the only reason I did manage to cope with the GED is because I was a high academic achiever in school. I was always a top 5 student and always attending provincial Olympics in different subjects for the school. So I would say that yes, grade 10 is better for students to understand it. I have looked at grade 10 work, and grade 10 is definitely the closest work to the GED.
Okay, good. And I'm glad you've warned people that it's not as easy as some people have heard it is. Some people have heard that it's just a quick thing, finish very quickly and move on with your life, but it isn't actually that. Ntobeko, did you find it difficult?
In all honesty, because of the background of my primary school, it was somewhat doable. But in high school, I'd gone to a different school in high school. I also went to school up to grade 10. But from primary school, I was in a private school, and then high school, I went to a public school. When comparing the work, and more specifically the essays within the English, it's very different. So if you're not paying attention, it's very easy to slip. I feel like it's very easy to pass the GED if you're doing the work, but it's also very easy to fail.
Well, the reality is that if you're prepared for anything, then you're going to do well in it. And so as long as you're prepared and you study hard and you're ready for it, you will do well, and you will understand what's going on. So Very good. Gavin, well, sorry, let's ask Wilna something first. Wilna, do you feel that the GED has helped you? Do you think it was worth doing it, or should you have done something else instead?
To be completely honest, I think it helped me way more than high school did. Because I actually learned everything that I needed to learn in like more life skills than just like studying work and just remembering terminology of certain things, because you have to write this terminology's meaning down or whatever. To me, it was very, very helpful, especially because I had a goal to like finish high school a year earlier, and I basically did that. So that was very nice for me.
Yeah, I think you've raised a very, very important point there. And that is that the GED teaches you critical thinking skills. And it's not all about learning things off the heart. If you try and learn something off the heart, that's really like the old world, because Google's there to tell you anything that you need to know. You and everybody else in this world right now needs to have critical thinking skills in order to be able to apply knowledge rather than just to say what you want to say and remember something. And so I think it's really important what you've said. I'm glad you said it. Lindsay, I think you wanted to make a comment.
I was just going to say exactly what you said. Is Wilna really described the GED perfectly. And why students do so well after doing the GED is because of those critical thinking skills that you have to be able to apply your knowledge. And it's a lot more useful for the rest of your life, is those skills you learn is in terms of thinking out the box. So yeah, well described actually.
Ntobeko, what advice would you give a student that's considering registering and doing the GED?
I'd say exactly what you guys were just saying. I'd say invest in utilizing the skills that the GED teaches you after you're done with school. Don't just look at it as completing the trick and then that's it. Really, these are life skills, and I feel like I'm walking and talking proof of that, because I had never imagined myself being where I am at 21. But through the GED and the way that it expanded my thinking, as just from something other than just being a girl from Ntlazaje, you know, it made me think, it made me see that there are possibilities. The possibilities to life are endless. So I would say invest in utilizing the skills long term. Learn, do the GED in order to understand it.
Yeah, agreed. Jude.
Yes, you know, I really want to reiterate that everything that's been said is so true, and I've seen it in, well, even in my own children that have done the GED. It really builds self-esteem, and of course, hundreds of our students that maybe come from a background where they feel they were set up for failure, but now they really feel set up for success. It really builds self-esteem. That's the first thing, which helps children to and young adults to achieve beyond their wildest dreams. And yeah, so it's really what I like about the GED as well in that line is that it gives you, it throws you a curved ball. And so it's not just, as you say, learning by rote. You have to use your thinking skills to get to the answer. And I think those are really life skills. And that's why our students really do so well. And many celebrities have done the GED and done so well because they actually have to, so to speak, deal with that curveball. And the answer, you're going to have to really use your thinking skills instead of just approaching it from a learning by rote method. So I think that does them the world of good, and all of our students can agree with that.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, celebrities have even done it. In fact, we've even got an astronaut that is a GED graduate that has landed up in space. And so I think the GED has worked wonders for many, many people. And Ntobeko, you wanted to say something, and then I've got a question for you.
Okay, yes. Just before I leave, because I have to be somewhere, but I wanted to also say that the GED also helped me within my university studies, because when we were thrown into COVID, for many people, it was the first time when they had to deal with online learning, whereas my whole matric life was online learning. So it put me at a very big advantage. Like I passed really well because I already had knowledge of how to learn alone and how to do things without having a lecture present.
Well, I agree 100% with you, and thank you for sharing that, and thank you for giving of your time to share with others. If you need to go, just feel free to go. I will ask the question to Gavin. Thank you so much, Ntobeko.
Thank you.
Gavin, we've had advice of prospective GED students. What about the parents? Often the parents that don't know about the GED are quite apprehensive to let their children do the GED. What type of advice would you give to the parents rather than the children that are doing the GED?
Yes, so like to broaden up on that, I would really like to elaborate more on what was said earlier as well. In the traditional schooling system, a kid gets put in front of a book full of facts and dates and times and names that they have to learn, and they'll never use that information ever again. It's the old parrot learning method, and the GED actually teaches you the methods and the skills to solve actual problems in the world. So it's not just about learning information and then answering the questions. It's more about learning how to solve those questions that are asked for you. And yeah, so the GED as well, it's highly accepted, and I really do not regret one moment taking it. I wouldn't have taken another path. It saved me a lot of time. A lot of my classmates are still busy with school, and I got to finish ahead of them. So yes, I think it's really put me a step ahead and put me in a higher place than a normal traditional matric would have put me.
Thank you for that. I think that's great advice, Gavin. Thank you. Just remember to type your questions again in the comments facility. And also, please don't forget to like this video and to subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all future webinars that we run. Also today, joining us is Lindsay Calder. Lindsay has worked in the education industry for a long time, for the last 17 years, with a particular focus on international qualifications, and the GED is just one of those. It's an international qualification. Before joining the GED with us in South Africa about 7 years ago, Lindsay worked for a Cambridge school, she worked for Pearson, and she also worked for City and Guilds, which are all international qualification awarding bodies. So I think in general, she really has a lot of experience relating to the GED. And so, Lindsay, thank you also for joining us. I am going to now switch over to some questions that we have received from the audience and answer those questions. I see we did lose Gavin. Hopefully he will come back. In the interim, let's get going here. I think, Lindsay, do you want to start off by answering the first question, and that is, how long does it take to complete the GED? I know it says how long is a piece of string, but how would you answer that question?
I would say the majority of students take 10 to 12 months. I know Gavin mentioned he took 6 months, but he also mentioned that I think he's a very motivated person. Generally, if we look at the average, students take about 10 to 12 months to complete the GED. It also depends how much time and effort you put in, but that's the average.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Here's one. Let's say, Jude, could you answer this question, please? How difficult would you say the GED subjects are? if you had to compare them to the South African curriculum?
Well, that all depends on the ability of the student, the academic abilities. It is, I think, what most students battle with is the fact that they have to think out the box, and so some students will find it a lot easier, and some students will battle to get into that thinking mode. I know even myself, when I was assisting my own students, my children at home, and other students that I've been able to see, that they actually do battle a little bit with thinking a little bit out of the box. But once you're in the mode, what my thought was that when I was trying to assist them, even though I had gone through conventional schooling, I had to change the way I thought, and that was a really positive way of thinking. And so once students get used to the videos and the way of thinking, it becomes much easier. And therefore, the whole process can actually be a lot easier than the conventional schooling. So obviously, maths is maths. You can't shortcut that. But I think that the important skills here are comprehension as far as sciences and Englishes. And if our students are able to comprehend well, and if they're good readers, then the GED becomes so much easier. I've seen students whiz through that are really good readers, and students that battle a little bit with comprehension may take a little longer to do that. So I'd say that question is, it depends.
Fair enough. Okay. And while we're chatting to you, Jude, is there an age limit?
Well, the exams have to be written only from the age of 17 onwards. So it really is a good idea to concentrate on your education when you're younger and to complete your grade 10 and then move across to the GED. So that could be from the age of 16 onwards, which gives you a year, or it could even be older, but there's no rush. One needs to have a good education as a young person. And the GED is really just a finishing off skill, so and credential and diploma. So to answer the question, at 17, you may write your exams onwards. So
Right.
if there are adults, they're most welcome to, there's no age cutoff. So we often have many adults that have not been able to get their grade 12. So they're been able to study further and to get their GED, which is really a great achievement for them. And we have quite a few of those.
Okay, excellent. Gaven, let's ask you a question here. How much of the US history do you need to know in order to be ready for the social studies subject?
Okay, yeah, so obviously it was a little bit different from learning in the CAP system, the South African curriculum, because we mostly learn about local history and not history overseas. Mainly to cope with the social studies, I would say you need to focus on the system of how the US system works with the different judicial branches and how the government works and so on. I wouldn't say you need to go study it in depth, but it would be to your advantage to maybe go watch a few documentaries and read a few books regarding the history of America, but mostly about how it's run and how things work.
Essentially how the government functions.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Lindsay, what grade do you need in order to start? I know I gave my view, but let's hear your view.
Yeah, so we generally recommend that students are past a grade 10. If they don't have a grade 10, then we often recommend the pre-GED bridging course. Jude offers two options. She's got the pre-GED bridging course, which looks at getting students up to speed in maths and English. Otherwise, she's got a few other programs that are great for the younger students to prepare them for the GED, because it's very much, you need to prepare your mind for that critical thinking skills, because it's a very different way of learning.
Yeah, agreed. So the next question was, how long does it take to get SAQA to process a certificate of equivalence after graduating with your GED. Jude or Lindsay, you want to both give your comments and feedback on SAQA in general?
I think maybe Lindsay should answer. I know Gavin has just got his. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a difficult one. But with that being said, is we're working very closely with SAQA, and because they can do the internal verification, because we have an agreement with them that they can access the GED database in America, it does speed things up, and we regularly have meetings with them. And we also have an escalation channel with them. So although it's taking a few months, if let's say after 3 months you haven't heard back from SAQA, contact us and we'll escalate on your behalf. But unfortunately, with recent internal changes they had last year, it is taking a bit longer than it used to.
And I think just to add to that, how do you contact us? Well, I think the simplest way is if you email us at the GED, we will escalate it for you. The email address is info@ged.org.za. Lindsay, why don't you just, well, actually, I'll just type it in the comments. So it's info@ged.org.za. If you want to contact us about anything GED related, if you need us to help you with anything, if you can't book an exam, if you're stuck with your GED profile, if you need a problem resolved, if you need help with SAQA, we're here to help you. Just give us an email and we will help you along the way. Just as a matter of interest, Gavin, how long did it take you from the time you applied for your SAQA certificate?
Yes, Sean. So as, I don't know if Lindsay mentioned, sorry, but yeah, so on average, it usually takes about 3 months or 65 working days. That should be the longest it takes. But my application myself should have only been done at the end of October. I applied in July, but I got mine after 2 months.
Okay, that's a fair amount of time. I think that's quite acceptable. I think just as a warning for anybody, if you're planning on getting your GED and then needing your SAQA certificate the next day, it's not going to happen. You need to give it time to ensure that the application process can go through.
And I think, sorry, Sean, linked to that is if you apply today and you need it ASAP, we can't escalate it if you applied 5 days ago. I know we get a lot of questions, please can you escalate, I urgently need it, but we've got an agreement with SAQA that we will first give them an opportunity to process it before we escalate. We can't just escalate applications that were submitted a few days ago.
Yeah, no, we just won't do it. We need the proof of when you submitted the application, etc. Okay, very good. So here's a question. What can we use to study? So I think there's so many different things, but I'm going to let Jude answer quickly this question, please.
To study for the GED, we obviously really promote the Essential Education's program called the GED Academy. It's been famous for many years and millions of students have been able to use it. It's extremely user-friendly, video-based. It picks up exactly what your weak areas are and then produces a learning plan for you. So all of our students are so familiar with Leonard, the tutor, and they love him and his team. So that for us is the main program that we use for our GED students to use for their GED prep.
Okay, and if you need a guidance or if you want Jude's details, just send us an email to that same email address, info@ged.org.za. We'll be happy to refer you and give you all the information that you do.
And I think to add on to Jude, because obviously some students, they want to source their own content, they feel it's cheaper, but really the reason why we promote that essential ed learning content so so strongly is because globally it's been proven our students who use it get the best results. And I would say it's been evaluated and approved by the GED in America, but we really find that students, because it's so comprehensive, it's customized to learn students' level and builds them up to the level they need to be to write, the students really get the best results when they use those resources.
Agreed. Wilna has been very quiet, so we're going to ask her a question here. Do we need to write the exams at a specific location?
So, yes, basically, yes. I think there's multiple locations throughout like the country, but yeah, I wrote it at a I think it was a college that I wrote it at.
Boston City campus.
So 100% Wilna. There's over 40 Boston City campus testing centers around the country. That was 100% right. You can only write at an accredited testing center. You cannot write online exams at home because it's got to be invigilated. The GED is a global test, and it's got a lot of security standards linked to that to maintain its high standards.
And just to add to that, I know sometimes you receive emails or you've heard from people that exams can be written online at home. That is not the case in any country other than America itself. And so, unfortunately, the only place that you can write exams is at one of the Boston City campuses around the country or Pearson's offices in Santa themselves. Those are really the only places that a GED exam can be written. The cost of the exam is $80. That's $80. That's approximately, unfortunately, the Rand-dollar exchange rate at the moment is really struggling. And so the equivalent in Rand terms, it works out to about 1,400 Rand at the moment, which we know is a lot of money. It is the same amount that the GED in America charge throughout the world. There's nothing we can do about it. It's the exam fee that everyone has to pay. Boston don't make money on the GED exams. We don't make money on the GED exams. The full amount has to be paid and paid directly to the GED in America, and then you're able to write your exams. The next question was, can we have a grade 8 or 9? So yes, you can. You need to be 17 to write the exams or older, 17 or older. But as we said previously, we do recommend having a minimum of a grade 10, but it is not compulsory. Here's one, Jude. Do I need transcripts or exam reports from my previous school before I can start the GED?
No, this is not necessary. You can just start the GED without prior grades. I just wanted to comment also on your previous comment about can you start the GED at grade 8, if I might. I would say if a student is already advanced in age and perhaps they're 19, 18 and they somehow skipped a few grades, somehow the older you get, the more life skills you get. And so as even adults, they have adult skills, which actually the GED teaches you. So in that case, I would say students could do a quick catch up if they're really battling with the maths and English. But I wouldn't say they have to go back and do grade 7, 8, 9 just because they missed it. So if they're advanced in age or older, then we don't want them to still be studying when they're, in their 20s.
Fair enough. I want to accept that I forgot to say that. I know Lindsay did mention it, but essentially you, Jude, and others offer a bridging course. And so if you're older than, it doesn't really matter, but if you're an adult and you've got experience in life and you only have a grade 7 or whatever it may be, as Jude said, you can do a bridging course for a couple of months. It's really up to you how long you want it to take. Just get your academic levels up to speed, and then you can jump into the GED and get it done. So yes, you can definitely do that. It's not a mandatory thing at all. And then Lindsay, again, I know you've answered this, that you said that it takes about 10 to 12 months to complete the GED. So here's a question. I'm not sure if I fully understand it, but it's a question from Josh. It says, I want to know how to register using the foreign qualification. I don't know, Jude or Lindsay, if you fully understand what that question means.
I'm assuming he's referring to, there could be two things. He's either referring to SACLA, the certificate of evaluation, where your foreign qualification gets converted to gets evaluated against a South African qualification, or whether he's referring to the old foreign conditional exemption through USAF, which is no longer available for GED students.
So we'll leave it there. Jude, do you have any, and Wilna and Gavin as well, if you want to also chip in? I know it's a big part of the English or the RLA paper. Any tips for the RLA? I'm assuming they're referring specifically to the essay component.
Right. Okay, I'll start off. I just know that it is very well taught on the program. It's laid out exactly as you should give attention to the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. It actually makes it really simple. They give you multiple examples and how can I say, they give you a lot of essays to do that are actually marked on the program. So our students are able to get a live teacher to actually mark their essays. So we also have PDFs. We've got blogs on how to do that exam. So we feel, you know, that entire program plus our extra tips will certainly help the students. I don't know if the other two students have some more comments. Gavin?
Yes. So I'll just elaborate on that. So on the English and especially the essay, I would really say you need to learn the format of the essay. It's not a traditional essay that you write in normal traditional schooling. It's not just an essay on its own. It's an argumentative essay. So it's not an essay you're going to write on your personal point of view. You really have to focus on which passage is better supported. It's more of on the level of what a college would write an essay on. So yes, I would say knowing the format of the essay is very important, because if you don't know how you're supposed to write it, you're going to score absolutely 0 on it, because it's a very specific format for that essay.
Okay, excellent. I think what's come out of that is that the essay is a difficult component for many people. We as the GED have free resources that we make available on our website. I have just posted the link, so you can take a look at that link and see some additional resources on how to practice writing the essay prior to writing the exam. And I think I want to just add one thing in general. Before anybody goes and writes any of the GED exams at Boston and spends $80 or 1,400 Rand, I'm begging you, please, please, please write what's called a GED ready test. Essentially, it's a mock exam. It's like a matric prelim of some sort, and it's only a few dollars. It's a fraction of the price of the final exam. And you'll know after writing that whether you are actually ready to do the GED final exam or not. And if you're not ready, it will actually tell you what to focus on so that you can properly prepare yourself for the final exam. There is no point in taking good hard-earned money and throwing it down the drain. I beg everybody to please purchase GED ready vouchers. If you don't know where to get them, just email us info@ged.org.za. We'll help you through the process and you can get these tests. The next question I'm going to ask Lindsay is, which university can I go to after I have completed my GED?
We get that often. So in South Africa, Boston City campus, they're accepting GED students for straight into degree programs, which is fantastic. And then obviously a lot of your private tertiary institutions are accepting students into a higher certificate, and thereafter you can apply for a degree program. If you're looking at internationally, and I know when we think international study, we think lots of money, but University of the People is an online American accredited university that is actually very, very reasonably priced. It's affordable to South African students. They accept GED students, also straight into degree programs, and many students like the University of the People option because they're used to studying online. So the number of private institutions in South Africa that are accepting the GED is expanding because we're doing a lot of work in engaging with them, educating them that the GED is a comprehensive syllabus or curriculum. So that list is growing, but for now, look at Boston City campus, look at University of the People, or if you're looking at teaching, nursing, any of those specific routes, contact us and we'll help you and guide you as to where you can apply and the process you can follow.
Yeah, I think in general, as you say, there are many options available out there. It may not be the traditional option or the option that you wanted to do, to go to a public university, but there are definitely options out there to study further. This one concerns me a little bit. I'm just going to read the comment and then Lindsay can maybe just comment on this as well. I don't know why somebody even thought about this, but it says, does the GED certificate make the matric certificate null and void?
Not at all. Students need options, and that is why there are different testing or awarding bodies. They give students options. Not every student fits into the same box, and that's where we're lucky enough to be able to have options as students. So a lot of students, they're happy at mainstream school. They're happy doing the South African matric, and that's fantastic. Other students, like Gavin said, they just didn't feel like they fit. And that's where then they can choose the GED or Cambridge or Pearson or any of those routes. It really depends on the student you are, but in no way does a GED make the South African matric null and void.
Thank you. Then we were asked again for advice on the extended response section of the RLA exam. I think we've covered it in great detail. We've also put a link in the notes in the comments facility, so please feel free to follow those comments. Wilna, once I have completed a GED exam, how long will it take before I get my results?
So I waited 2 hours, and usually around after 2 hours of writing the test, I got my results. So that's how long I waited.
So you only have to wait a very short period of time and you get your results. You don't have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks for it.
Yeah.
And what happens if I don't pass an exam?
Then you have to rewrite it. And I think they give you like a very extended review or response of like the work that you struggled with in the test and what they think you could improve on and whatnot, and then you can go use those materials and then study what you didn't like quite understand. So that was also great because it's very in detail. You won't like wonder, what is this? Yeah.
I think it's an important thing to understand is that if you fail, I mean, I wouldn't recommend going and writing it the next day because you should review the content and continue studying. But it's not like you have to wait another 6 months or another year before you can rewrite it. You can review the work again And when you're ready, you can book and write. It's not like you have to wait a very long period of time. So I think that's a great feature of the GED. And just by the way, I think no one has actually mentioned to me the most important part of the GED, and that is to reduce stress loads. What students do is they actually study one subject at a time. You don't have to study all the subjects all the time and write all the exams in 1 week. You can study one subject, prepare for that subject properly, book when you're ready, go and write the exam, pass the exam, write it off, push it aside, move on to the next subject. Stress levels are reduced dramatically, and no one has to worry about writing everything over a compacted period of time. And if you're sick and you miss it, you have to wait another 6 months or whatever it might be to write. None of that stuff. Exams are available every single day. Whenever you're ready to write them, one subject at a time. That is what we recommend. I think, Gavin, you did cover this, but let's just ask it again, just very briefly. Do I need to know American laws and history to pass social studies?
Yes, no, so as I said, you don't really need to know any facts, should I say, about the American history or laws. You just need to have some sort of idea how the system works, the government system and the legal system in America. Like, just have an idea of what a mayor is, should I say, and what the president is, which is very, very common sense. But just have an idea of the terms that are used, so that because the social studies as well, it's very comprehension based as well. There's lots of reading. So when you're reading those passages and you need to go and evaluate what the answer is, you need to have understood what you read, because anyone has the capability of reading, but there's a big difference between reading and reading with meaning. You need to know what you're reading, and that's the only way you'll be able to answer your questions.
Okay, very good. Another question that we received is, what type of system do we use? And I think Jude covered that and Lindsay covered in great detail. It's the essential ed system, which is what is recommended. It's not what we use specifically, but Jude definitely recommends it. We also recommend it, but there are other options out there. Lindsay, you want to just cover them? You can buy a book. Do you want to just quickly?
Correct. Yeah. And not every learning style suits every student, as every curriculum doesn't suit every student. So obviously there's the online learning, which Jude mentioned, essential ed. There is, students can buy a textbook through Take-A-Lot. Kaplan has a great textbook that's recommended. Some students, as I mentioned, wish to source their own YouTube videos, it's fine, but there's no way to be 100% sure there that you've covered the whole curriculum. So that's always a bit risky. So I would say look at a textbook. You can obviously buy off Take-A-Lot. There's if you search, just make sure any learning content that you do use has been evaluated and approved by the GED. Please be very conscious of that, because there are some materials out there, some providers out there that just make up their own. We always recommend that any learning resources have been evaluated and approved by the GED to make sure they're credible, they're legit, and they cover the whole curriculum.
Thank you. Another question, I think it has been answered, but I'll just state it. If I'm 21 years old, can I join? The answer is yes. You can join. You have to be 17 or older to write the exam. We've had many students of different ages going through the GED. So absolutely at any age you can join over the age of 17 to write the exams. This webinar is being recorded, and we will be distributing the recording link. And so you don't have to worry if you registered certain people to watch it and they don't have access right now. It is being recorded, it will be available. We'll distribute the link to everybody that registered, and so you can use it. Jude, what happens to students that have had no traditional school experience, but who have been unschooled?
Well, obviously there is a lot of homeschooling that do take this approach, but I think that all of them would definitely concentrate on reading and mathematics. I mean, these are two essential skills. And so if you have a good, as mentioned before, good comprehension skills, the GED is a lot easier. So I think for students that maybe have lacked in that aspect, I do encourage them to maybe take out books from the library, do extra comprehension. That is probably the most important skill. So if they're younger students, just read, and obviously answer questions on paragraphs. So comprehension, and then obviously we do have several programs that can actually backfill and teach you the basic maths and the basic English grammar. So that would then get them up to speed so that they're able to do their GED later.
Just very briefly, we are starting to run out of time, and I want to get through as many questions as possible. I'm just going to answer a few together here, and that is, can you study from South Africa? Absolutely. We are GED South Africa. Judy's in South Africa. We're running it from South Africa, 100%. What do you need in order to write the exam? We highly recommend using your Smart ID because it's got all the requirements. You cannot pitch up without an ID document of some sort to write the exam. You will be turned away and you will lose your money. Don't do it.
I think, Sean, I just want to jump in quickly there because that is a big thing, is the rules are you need to have a valid government issued ID that meets the requirements of having your full name, date of birth, a photo of you, and a signature.
Yeah, and if you don't have, say, for example, the signature because you've got the old green ID book, then you're allowed to bring a bank card, like your credit card or your debit card, that has a signature at the back, and that will be verified in conjunction with your ID. Where can I write the exams? At every single Boston City campus countrywide. We have a huge network of about 48 campuses around the country that you can go write exams at. You don't have to travel very far. You can use any Boston and book it online and go and write it. Very quickly, we are running out of time. Lindsay, can you quickly explain what is a SAQA certificate that we've been talking about over and over and over again?
Perfect. So SAQA is the South African Qualifications Authority. They evaluate qualifications against South African standards. So when you achieve your GED, you can apply to SAQA for a certificate of evaluation. And what it'll come back saying is that your GED diploma is the closest comparable qualification to the National Senior Certificate. So it gives employers an understanding of the level that the GED is at.
Thank you. How long is the bridging course? Well, it's actually as long as and as quick as you can study. Some students take 2 months to complete it, some take 6, some take 9 months. It's all dependent on your current academic levels and how much effort and time you put into it on a daily basis. Jude, are the subjects other than maths all comprehension? I heard that science, RLA, and social studies are mostly reading a passage and answering questions based on the passage.
I would say yes, except for maths. In my opinion, if you really read the paragraph, the answer will be found in that paragraph. And if you are able to use your powers of elimination and even sometimes if you don't know the answer, you could say, look, it's definitely not this, and that's using your critical thinking skills. So there is nothing that you learn by rote. Obviously, you have to have some general knowledge, but comprehension is very important in all of the subjects. And obviously maths, you need your mathematical skills. But perhaps Lindsay has more on that. I don't know.
Okay, and what do you recommend for a student who is weak in English and math?
In English, obviously, once again, critical thinking skills would come from their comprehension. So once again, I can't stress the importance of reading. So from a young age, parents should encourage reading, answering questions on paragraphs, and so that will really certainly boost their GED results.
Okay. Which universities can we actually attend if we have a GED? I think Lindsay has covered it. If you want to know specifics, just email us on info@ged.org.za. We'll answer those questions. Here's a concerning question. It says, I hear you can skip the essay question. Is that true?
It is not recommended. You're really limiting your opportunities to pass nicely. It's not something we recommend.
100%. I mean, why would you want to leave a question out in a paper that you can get certain marks for and get a better mark? How do I get the GED paper certificate? Go to ged.org.za, go to the how-to components under resources, and there's a document there that explains step-by-step how to apply for your paper certificate. Do you have to pay to rewrite the paper again if you failed an exam? Yes, you have to pay $80 again. So work hard, do the GED ready, and then write the exam so you don't fail it in the first place. Where in Pietermaritzburg can I write their GED exams? At Pietermaritzburg at Boston City campus. Go to boston.ac.za and search under their Pietermaritzburg campus. You'll get the address, and that's where you'll write the exam. Lindsay, very briefly, if you're a foreign national, can you get permission to write the GED?
Yes, you just need to email us on FN for foreign national at ged.org.za with a copy of your passport and your valid relevant visa, and we will apply to Boston on your behalf for approval, and then you need to take that approval letter with you when you go and write.
Okay. Regarding the RD, if you're using someone else's login to study, well, sorry, I can't believe I just read that, but you should never be using anybody else's login to study in the first place, because you're not allowed to. So we'll just leave that question there. And then my son is really struggling with maths. Any advice on how to pass? He has failed 3 times already.
Sean, I would suggest if a student is really struggling that they actually, please contact our offices. We first of all will reset any weak areas. We'll first check to see what are their weak areas. And they need to do that and never just book an exam without checking with our team. So we're really thorough with that. So we want them to be okay on the program. After they've done a GED ready test, if they still have not passed, we do recommend tutors. So there's various tutors available, and we have a list as well that they can approach. Perhaps they need a couple of Zoom sessions or one-on-one tutoring to help them through with the maths. But together with the program and resetting and getting those areas redone, they could succeed. They will succeed.
And then another question is, where in Mitchell's Plain can I write? Again, go to boston.ac.za and look up from all the campuses. You will find the one that you need and the closest to you. So Wilna, Gavin, Jude, Lindsay, thank you all so much for giving of your expertise and your time. Wilna and Gavin, thank you so much for sharing your personal GED journeys with us. I hope it has helped prospective students better understand the GED, what it can do for you, and whether they should be doing the GED themselves or not. As I've said, go to www.ged.org.za. There's a huge amount of information there. If you want to get hold of us, just email us on info@ged.org.za. We will help you. And if you need anything, if anybody's struggling with any subject ever, just email us on info@ged.org.za and we will guide you in the right direction. Thank you so much to everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you at the next webinar.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks.